Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ian is a Weirdo. This will be probably short. I don't know how short. I literally maybe 20 minutes ago got back to my apartment. Day-long trip basically to get back from North Carolina, and finally back in my apartment in LA. Boy, did I look goofy walking or trying to get from bus to bus with my big suitcase my carry-on bag, but I was hoping to have more to bring back. I do have some stuff that I brought back that I'm really happy about, but none of the things that I had originally planned for. Like literally everything that I planned to bring, I was not able to get, which just happens sometimes. This trip was bonkers, crazy, nuts. Especially the way it started out, kind of ended the way I expected. But I took a bus up to get to the airport, and I drove to a place where my friend could have the keys to come check on Scotty, and then I took a bus from there, or took multiple buses from there, and I got put on the wrong side of the airport, or between where you get into the airport and multiple industrial size buildings. And so I ended up showing up literally as they were closing the doors for my flight, and they're like, your flight is to close the doors, you're SOL. And I was like, because I would have been there on time had I known where to go on that exact bus that I was on. I should have gotten off 2 stops earlier, but I didn't know. Never been there before. So I'm also gonna eat because travel stuff. Which I don't even like eating on camera, but whatever. But then they were like, okay, if you rush, they printed off a ticket. They're like, if you rush, you can make it. You can get on the plane. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And so I rushed, and they were calling my name on the intercom over and over and over again. And they're like, you have 5 minutes. You have 3 minutes. I was running up to a gnat's ass window of getting on this airplane, and they got me on the airplane, and so I sit down and I'm like, whew, and I text everyone who needed to know that I made the flight somehow by some miracle. And then they start, as we were on the plane, they're talking about going to Denver, and I was like, isn't my layover in Tennessee? This is weird. So, but I was like, maybe I just was thinking about a flight that I looked at and didn't book or something like that. No, that's not what happened. So they redirected my flight, which, I'm glad that I was at least able to go, and I recognize that doesn't always happen. So I am very thankful for that. But they put me on a flight to Denver, and then Denver to North Carolina. And then I would have a 5.5 hour layover. The issue being that I was already going to be basically rolling in on 2 wheels to get to my sister's wedding, which was Friday, and I was going to land at 5:15. Her wedding was at 6, and she was about 45 minutes out from the airport. And then I get to Denver. The Denver flight's supposed to get into North Carolina at 10:30 p.m. And I was like, okay, so missing the whole wedding. Okay. And just trying to stave off a total mental breakdown at this point. And but I was like, okay, well, at least I'll get there, and I'll get to see people, and contacted my friends my friend that I was staying with that night, about the situation and everything. Well, not only was my flight delayed out of Denver, but then we had to wait on the tarmac for storms to pass. So that I actually ended up getting into Raleigh, North Carolina, at midnight on the dot. So I took an Uber straight from the airport to my friend's house. Apparently they, as soon as I landed, the party was winding down. And I just was like, it's no one's going to be awake when I get there. So I went straight to my friend's house. We hung out for a couple hours, got it, super late. And then luckily, my sister and her new husband were in town for the morning. They were going to do breakfast with everybody. So so I got to see them, which was good. I got to give her her pillow. Both her and her husband thought the pillow was funny. So, win there. I'm glad that went off. That part went off without a hitch. And, but I was so tired. I've been talking about my sleep for weeks and how bad it's been. And, being as exhausted as I was going into this, and then having anxiety about being late for the flight, which the flight was supposed to leave at 7, but due to the flight that I missed was supposed to leave at like 7, but due to the fact that I had to drop my car off and then take the bus there, I think I left where my friend was at like 3:30 or 3:30 in the morning. So I was like, do I sleep? I don't know. Like, I've been up this late anyways, and but I'm exhausted. And the night before, I only got 2 hours of sleep maybe, and I was just a mess. But from Denver to North Carolina, I slept like the whole flight. And I haven't eaten in like, I don't even know how many hours. It might be 12 at this point. Who knows? Hi, Jen. Welcome in. I'm good. I'm very tired. I just got in like right at 11 o'clock my time, so about 23 minutes ago. Went straight to the shower. Like, I felt so disgusting from my flights today, and being at the airport and all that stuff. So I just was like, I need to just scrub my body clean. And then I had to take multiple buses to get back to where my friend had the keys, and then drive. It was a really short drive because there was no traffic this late at night, but drive about like 20 minutes home. So all with the buses and with airlines and with airports, I was like, you know what? I've been living in LA since December. I've been in California since October, but I've been in LA. So like this apartment is in LA. My family and I like am from North Carolina. My sister got married this past weekend, my younger sister, and I told a little bit about missing the flight, missing the wedding, but still making it to North Carolina in time to see her before she and her husband went on their honeymoon. So I'm glad that I got to at least see them, because I was like, oh, I missed everything. I'm not even gonna have the ability to see them, and I feel like shit for missing my flight. But luckily, that wasn't too bad. But I was sleeping so much, and I can't tell if like I was sleeping because of like I was in like a crazy sleep deficit. Like my sleep the past couple weeks has been awful. Like I'm doing like no sleep nights, or like 2 or 3 hours sleep per night, and then I went to the other side of the country, so I lost hours, and I slept the whole basically travel day. Once I got on the airplane, I just knocked out completely on Friday. I slept all of my plane rides. And then when I was with my friends, like I was sleeping, or like with my family, I was sleeping like half the day away. So I probably had pretty bad jet lag, but it's also hard to tell if it was just me just catching up on much needed sleep, and the time difference just kind of was a catalyst for me being able to do that. I am very tired right now, but I'm not at the but I knew I had to like stay awake, stay alert, not get robbed from getting back from the airport with my big luggage, not as full of shit as I had hoped, but still had some like important stuff to me. I had hoped to be able to bring to find my crochet hooks, to find some yarn that I wanted to bring here, to find my knitting machines, all of that stuff. I couldn't find that because I came here and I still had an apartment in North Carolina, and my parents packed it all up and they put it in a storage unit, and all of the shit that I wanted was way in the back. And I just was like, we don't have time. I don't have the energy to get all that shit right now. So, and just to like dig through every box that was my former apartment. So, but I did what luckily was close to the door of the storage unit was some stuff of my friends who passed. My friend passed last year, and so some of the stuff that I had of his. He was a very crafty person, and his he just had like a profound love of Native American culture, having grown up in the Southwest after being adopted from Latvia, and he died last year after a really brutal battle with alcoholism and liver failure. And so I have several of his dream catchers. So I think I brought like 4 back, and I remember the biggest one I have is probably like this big. It fits like the width of my bag, and I remember the day that he gave it to me. I think I was 18. We were in high school together, and one day he just shows up and just hands me this big ass, like with the feathers and everything, like from top to bottom. It's probably about 4 feet long when it hangs up, and he just handed it over to me, and I was like, what's going on? Like, what's this? Like, I knew he made dream catchers. If you knew him and you looked at him, you'd be like, he makes dream catchers. And I knew I had seen his work, but I never asked for one. And that's the thing. Like, he was always a person that if he cared for you, and even if he didn't care for you, like he would I remember stories at his funeral about people like him literally like, not saying this as a metaphor, literally giving the shirt off his back to people. But he was one of those people who just gave like so much of himself to people, and so he had just like stayed up one night and wanted to make me a dream catcher or something to that effect, and just handed me this big ass dream catcher that I'd carry around all day. And I've had it since I was 18. So like, let's see, like I am 33 now, so was that 15 years now, and I've had it the whole time, and the circumstances of me moving to California, I feel like I've talked about it quite a bit. I came to California because of mental health treatment, and have been in multiple places in California, the final one being LA, for a treatment that I was ultimately unable to get, but I thought I was going to be able to get, so I came to LA. And it just was the right move, or it has currently been the right move to stay in LA. So I got an apartment. I have a cat who's under the covers right now. You see like that little, sorry, there's hot sauce in the way of Scotty. that little bump right there in my covers, that is my cat, Scotty. So, just seeking good mental health care and also gender affirming care, because it is not only is it not great in North Carolina, but having spent multiple months, almost, well, not almost a year, but multiple months in California, the difference is staggering and heartbreaking, in gender affirming care, from from what can be experienced here versus um, in North Carolina. So that's pretty hard to wrap my brain around the culture shock of multiple things. When I traveled, because I knew I was going to be traveling the whole day, like I didn't wear my binder, and so I was having to go into the women's restroom. I haven't been into a women's restroom in a very long time, and I was so uncomfortable, and I was like, "This is what anybody wants. This is what people think that is good." Because I felt very, very uncomfortable in there. So, but in the sake of for the sake of just what the reality felt like for me, I just felt like that's what I needed to do. Hey, Rudy, welcome in. But that's part of the reason why I've stayed in California, is to get gender affirming care without the fuss and or the same level of fuss as I would in California, or as I would in North Carolina. Because having the mental health history that I have, mixed with needing gender affirming care, I like that combination. Just having one of those things in North Carolina was difficult, and you had very limited access to care. But once you have two going on, it becomes almost impossible for you to get the treatment that you need, especially in the trans department. And that's really disheartening, and it makes it hard for your mental health to get better if you know that you'll never get what you need in other departments as well. Your life is always going to be stuck in this kind of cycle of trying to get care, and you can never get it. So there's pros and cons of being out here in California, and reasons why I've stayed in California, at least for the time being. But yeah, I don't know if it'll be a permanent thing. It's different. My family is still all in North Carolina, and I'm still disabled, so taking care of myself at times is very difficult, because because of how my symptoms are cyclical. There are days where I still can't take care of myself and do what are called ADLs, or activities of daily living. That's a big part of becoming disabled, is showing that those are hard, if not impossible, for you to do. And so those range from feeding yourself, taking your medication, showering, things like that, using the toilet, just listing, several of them. Not to say that every single one of them I have a problem with, or whatever. But it's just, but I can't always complete them. So yeah, that's part of, the reality of being disabled is, okay, well, if I have a day, or if I have a week, or if I have a month or more, or I can't take care of myself, it's like, how do I do that? There are more resources here, but the resources I don't have here are family to come stay and, or like go over to my family's place. So, pros and cons everywhere. Um, I said I wasn't going to be on long, and I definitely mean that. I feel myself fading quickly, so I'm going to eat and try to hydrate and take some sleep meds and the rest of my meds and go to sleep and hang out with my cat. So I'll probably tell the story again tomorrow if you want to hang out. I think I set my thing, my pre-planned live to 4 or 5 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to hear the whole story again, you can, or you can watch the replay of this. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on because who knows, I might ultimately be like too fucking exhausted for tomorrow. So I just might sleep all day and just kind of see what happens. So anyways, thank you for hanging out with me. I know I'm pretty low. I can imagine I seem very low energy because I am very low energy. And that's because I walked in the door about 40 minutes ago, took a shower, and tried to wash every germ, everything off of me from all of the people I encountered from North Carolina to all the people I encountered until I entered my apartment door. So it's nice to feel clean again. That's the thing I never take for granted after a day of travel. And nice to have not have to lug my shit around LA, because it took me an hour and a half to get to my car, and I had like 3 buses, and just carrying around that much luggage onto a bus, it's not fun, and I almost ate shit several times. So that would have been funny to have that recorded, but no, it didn't. We don't have that, so we'll just have to imagine it in our mind's eye. Anyways, thank you for hanging out, and I will talk to you tomorrow or later this week. Okay, bye.